how Jack worked too much. They'd had Addie since this morning. 12 hours was long enough. Jack climbed the wooden steps, each board creaking under his weight. The spare key hung on its usual nail behind the porch swing. He let himself in, expecting to find Addie asleep on the couch where she usually curled up during these late pickups. The living room was empty. "Addie," he called softly, not wanting to wake his parents if she'd already been put to bed upstairs. No answer. Jack walked through the familiar rooms, past the family photos that lined the hallway like a museum of better times. There he was at 10, gap-toothed and grinning. Ray at 12, always standing a little behind Jack, as if claiming protection. Their parents, younger then, before the lines around their eyes had deepened into permanent scowls. He found Addie in the kitchen. She sat perfectly still on one of the straight-backed wooden chairs, the kind his mother had insisted on keeping despite their discomfort. Her small hands rested in her lap, fingers twisted together. Her eyes were red and puffy, but she wasn't crying anymore. She learned not to cry in this house. Around her neck hung a piece of cardboard, tied with kitchen twine like a price tag on meat. The black marker letters were written in his mother's precise handwriting. Family Disgrace. Jack's vision tunneled. The room went quiet except for the tick of the kitchen clock and the hum of the refrigerator. He could feel his pulse in his temples, could taste something metallic in his mouth. "Daddy!" Addie's voice was barely a whisper. He moved to her, his boots loud on the linoleum. His hands shook as he untied the twine, careful not to pull too hard on her delicate neck. The cardboard fell to the floor with a soft thud. "Addie, sweetheart, what happened?" Before she could answer, footsteps came down the stairs. His mother appeared in the doorway, wearing her blue flannel robe and slippers. Her gray hair was pinned back with bobby pins, and her face held that familiar expression of justified irritation. "Jack, you're later than usual. What is this?" He held up the cardboard sign. Marlene Brennan crossed her arms. She lied about knocking over Grandma's nativity. "We don't raise liars in this family." She's 8 years old enough to know right from wrong. His mother's voice carried that tone she'd perfected over the years, the one that suggested anyone who disagreed with her was fundamentally flawed. She broke the ceramic baby Jesus, then tried to blame it on the cat. When I asked her to tell the truth, she kept lying. Jack knelt beside Addie's chair. "What really happened, sweetheart?" Addie looked up at him with those dark eyes she'd inherited from June. "I was looking at the baby Jesus up close. I didn't mean to knock it over. When it broke, I got scared and said maybe Patches did it. But then I told Grandma the truth right after. I promised, Daddy. I told her it was really me." Marlene snorted. After she got caught in the lie first. She corrected herself. "She's a child who needs to learn consequences." His mother's voice grew sharper. "You've been too soft on her since June died. Someone has to teach her proper behavior." Jack stood slowly. Behind his mother, his father appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Vern Brennan was a big man, made bigger by years of physical labor and an unwillingness to bend for anyone. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching the scene with the detached interest of someone observing a neighbor's argument. "Vern!" Jack looked at his father. "You agree with this?" His father shrugged. "Your mother handles the discipline around here. Always has. By humiliating an 8-year-old, by teaching her that actions have consequences." Marlene snapped. "Something you should have learned a long time ago. Maybe if you had, you wouldn't be working Christmas Eve instead of spending time with your daughter." The words hit like they were meant to. Jack felt the familiar tightness in his chest, the old feeling of being 12 years old again and never quite good enough. But this time, something else rose up alongside it. Something colder. "Come on, Addie. We're going home." He helped his daughter down from the chair, his hands gentle on her shoulders. She moved carefully, like someone who'd been sitting still for a very long time. "Jack!" His mother's voice followed them toward the front door. "You're overreacting. We were trying to help." He stopped but didn't turn around. "Help what?" "Help raise her properly. She needs structure. She needs to understand that lying has consequences." Jack looked down at Addie, who had wrapped her small hand around 2 of his fingers. She was staring at the floor, her dark hair falling across her face like a curtain. "She needs to understand that telling the truth is safe," he said. even when she makes mistakes. The world isn't safe, Jack. The sooner she learns that, the better. Now he did turn around. His mother stood in the kitchen doorway, backlit by the overhead fluorescent that made everything look harsh and cold. His father remained by the stairs. Still, watching like this was a show that didn't particularly interest him. "You're right," Jack said. "The world isn't safe. That's why home should be." He walked out without another word, Addie's hand still clutched in his. In the truck, Jack started the engine and turned up the heat. The dashboard lights cast everything in blue, making Addie's face look even smaller than usual. She sat pressed against the passenger door, her seat belt buckled, but her body curled into itself. "Daddy." "Yes, sweetheart. They said you'd be ashamed of me." Jack's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "What did they say exactly?" "Grandma said when you saw the sign, you'd know what kind of girl I really was. She said you'd be disappointed because you thought I was good, but now you'd know I was just like all the other liars in the world." "And what did you think about that?" Addie was quiet for a long moment. "I thought maybe she was right. Maybe I am bad, and I just didn't know it yet." Jack pulled the truck over to the side of the road and put it in park. He turned to face his daughter fully. "Addie, look at me." She lifted her head. "You're not bad. You're not a disgrace. You are kind and smart and brave, and you tell the truth even when it's hard. What happened tonight was not about you. Do you understand? But I did lie first, for about 2 seconds. Then you told the truth. That's what people do when they make mistakes. They fix them." Grandma said. Grandma was wrong. The words came out harder than Jack intended. He softened his voice. "Sometimes adults are wrong, sweetheart. Even when